Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on White Elephant, starring Michael Rooker as the hitman with a code. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. A lot of guys in this movie. John Malkovich, for one, also as a baddie. Bruce Willis as the baddie. And it's a story we've seen before. Michael Rooker works for the organization, kills people. He's the youngest guy amongst a bunch of old men, isn't he? He's the youngest guy. And he looks even older in this. Like on Walking Dead, they made him look a little younger. I think he's trying to change his look for the movie. Again, I appreciate that. So here they are. He's distracting the guy, and then a guy comes in and shoots him. Died by a bullet. That's not the name of the movie. It's White Elephant. So the premise is, of course, they're out to kill the last witness, a cop, who's a beautiful woman, coincidentally, and he saves her. He doesn't like that. It violates his code, even though he's killed dozens of people. So, of course, they come after him now. He saves her, and now it's Michael Rooker against the organization, with Bruce Willis occasionally appearing to go, find him, kill him, and such. John Malkovich, I think, as the guy who gave him the assignment initially. And then here he is. This is a cool scene. Here, I'll just play a little bit without the sound. Say he just starts shooting him. That's pretty cool. So there's going to be a lot of gunplay in this. A lot of knife fights. And Bruce Willis gets to fire a machine gun at the end. Here she is hiding in it. And this is the girl, Olga Kurylenko. John Malkovich. I think Malkovich dies early. And then it gets bloody. Here's Bruce Willis picking up the gun. This is, it's a shame about Bruce Willis, retiring and everything because of his condition. But I'm actually seeing all the last trailers with him because I always hunt down the last Bruce Willis movies he's in. You can kind of tell. You can kind of tell he's a little out of it in some of the shots, He's not as focused as he once was. He's got something, there's something in his eyes. It's just a little bit off for him. But he's still doing what Bruce Willis does. In this case, he's being a bad guy, which is different from him. White Elephant is the name of the movie. Let's see. All right, screenplay by Jesse V. Johnson and Eric Martinez, directed by Jesse V. Johnson. Original story by Jesse V. Johnson. So he hired Eric there to help him out with the screenplay. Something I would do. So you got Michael Rooker, Bruce Willis, with Olga Kurylenko. Oh, so she's not in it that much. Bruce Willis is in it more than her. Now, see, I would have assumed it was the other way around. With Olga Kurylenko and John Malkovich. So John Malkovich isn't in it that much. That's very interesting. Okay. So really, this is Rooker versus Willis. Lucky Rooker, he gets to star in one of the last Willis movies. It looks decent. It looks like it's got plenty of gunfights. Oh yeah. Lots of guys are gonna get their heads blown off in this. Let's see how many executive producers. We've got co-producers. 1, 2. Executive producers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wait, 14, 15. 15. What did I say the record was? I think the record was 18. Man, that's a lot of executive producers. And none of them are Bruce Willis, which I'm surprised at. Or John Malkovich. Man, there's a lot of executive producers on that list. Jesus. It looks good. I mean, it looks like an 80s movie. Typical action 80s movie. Rooker looks a little old. A little older than maybe he should look for the role, but it is kind of an older role because he's supposed to play an older guy. But he looks like he's got the moves. He's got the tired, jaded, world-weary look about him. He looks good there. I mean, he's the youngest amongst them. He had to be the main guy. And I'm surprised, well, I guess Willis is the main bad guy. And then Malkovich is sort of like the guy who who gives him the assignments. Die by a bullet. Yeah, there's Malkovich. Malkovich looking long in the tooth, too. I'm surprised he's in a movie like this. He's been doing a lot of movies like, I'll say, in the Bruce Willis late phase vein. And Olga, I'm surprised she's only partly in the movie. I would have thought she would have been a main character, too, but interesting. Interesting. Willis looking his normal self. Here's Rooker handling this big gun, mowing down the bad guys. All right, so what is this? Let's say first act. It is, the business as usual with Michael Rooker, doing jobs. Here he is doing a job for the family, burning bodies. Gross. He works for Bruce Willis and John Malkovich. I assume Bruce is kind of the boss. And he's a friend of Bruce Willis. He's been loyal. They have drinks together. So the first act establishes Rooker as this hitman type guy. But he's got certain rules. Maybe he's training the new guy. And there's a new guy in this mix, but I don't think he's very prominent in the whole movie, quite frankly. So here he is, I think, doing a hit with him where, he distracts him and then this guy comes up and kills this dude. So, second act, there's some sort of murder. She's the witness, and she's a cop, but for whatever reason, Rooker saves her, doesn't want to kill her, actually saves her. And John Malkovich, of course, tells him, no, you can't save her, we have to kill her, she's a witness. And Rooker's like, no, I don't kill cops, or I don't kill women, or whatever he says. And then probably Malkovich gets killed, and then Bruce Willis is just like, go kill, I think this is the young guy that Rooker trained, and then he has to beat him. And I'm just going to guess they kill Malkovich. So, third act, he kills them all. And there's only one or two ways this usually ends. Either Rooker sacrifices himself to save the girl and she gets away, or he kills everybody and they both get away. It almost never happens anyway else. I mean, it could happen they both die. That would be a downer. It could happen that she dies anyway. Another big downer. So either he dies and saves her, or they both live. Usually the only two choices to end this. Usually doesn't end peacefully. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a movie in which they sit down with the bad guys and somehow work it out. I don't know what you could do. It'd have to be more of a comedy, because realistically, there are no hitmen with a heart of gold out there who turn against their captors, and even if they do, they have guys watching them. So it would be very dangerous under any circumstances to turn against your boss. They're essentially your captors. These guys are paranoid in organized crime, and they have every right to be. They are under the gun, literally. They have to be very careful of their own security. So, that's why an organization tends to ease that somewhat. So the Mafia had that kind of organization where guys could kind of live semi-normal family lives and still be in this world, because there was a big enough organization that nobody would mess with them, and they would have a stable criminal organization, let's say. None of these guys are Italian in it, and this is 2022, where literally they could kill anybody. There's just too much at stake in every transaction now. People turn on a dime and it's over. So, White Elephant is the name. When's it coming out? That's a question. Let's see. June 3rd. Oh, so not long. Not long. Oh, here's the synopsis. When an assassination attempt goes wrong, an ex-Marine turned mob enforcer is forced to set things right in the face the wrath of his ruthless mob boss. Okay. Yeah, I can see Rooker being an ex-Marine. I mean, he very much looks like an ex-Marine. That's always sort of been his look. Yeah, that works. So June 3rd. Yeah, that's not far. Not long. Hopefully in theaters. This would be a movie I'd see in theaters because it's got a lot of action. A lot of action. I'd go see this. Yeah, and I very well might. Just to give a few bucks to a fellow Jersey boy, Bruce Willis. And that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Did you see Little Joan? Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for more based takes, including a news blast and a Hollywoke hot take. We'll see you in the next one.